Can you all hear me? Maybe there's some problems with the sound. Can you hear me? Just let me know in the chat if you can hear me.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now? Do we have sound? We have sound. Okay. Hallelujah. I think there was some problem with the mic. We fixed it. So, Mbote, Kembo, Tutatanzambe, Yaman Zulu. Greetings to the Benabeto. Big greetings to you, Bena Congo, Benanzambi, all over the world, to the dispersed and outcast of Isolele in the eastern and western hemisphere. I pray that the Spirit of the Most High, Nzambe Mpungutulendo, is with all of you wherever you are in this world. Hallelujah. Kimbo. Now, before we start, first things first, right? Like and share the video. Like and share the video. When the Europeans came to Congo, yes, when they discovered Congo in 1482, 1483, when they came and discovered the Congo, we're talking about Yiseka'yah, who was one of the first, right? The first European to actually enter into the kingdom of Congo. When they discovered the kingdom of Congo, they were so amazed because they found a glorious kingdom, a majestic kingdom. Yes. And they were amazed. They were in awe of what they encountered in Congo. The king of Portugal called the Mani Congo my brother. If the king of Portugal considered the Mani Congo, the king of Congo, to be beneath him, he would never have called him my brother. That shows you that they were equals, in terms of the rulership. And the king of Portugal gave honor to the Mani Congo, right? Because the kingdom of Congo was one of the greatest kingdoms on Africa. And Europeans, missionary travelers, etc., have written a lot on the kingdom of Congo, pre-colonial kingdom of Congo. They have written a lot about Congo. Now, Congo was so majestic. The European loved to visit Congo. They loved to write books about Congo. They loved to do all kinds of research and etc. But if you look at Congo today, there is no glory in Congo. There is no beauty in Congo. It's all gone. What happened? Hallelujah. So we're going to discuss this. The robbing and exploiting of the Congo. Okay. Before we continue, let me read a scripture. Let me look for it. Okay, let's see. Let's start. I will read a lot of scriptures, but let me start with this one. This is Isaiah 18, verse 2. Yes, Isaiah 18, verse 2 says, that sendeth ambassadors by the sea, even in vessels upon the water, saying, Go, ye swift messengers, to a nation scattered and peeled, to a people terrible from the beginning, a nation meted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. So a land meted, meted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. Now the rivers represent the nations. So this land is spoiled by the nations. Now the word spoiled means that the land is robbed, right? The land is robbed, exploited, robbed by the nations. Now, exploit can be defined as to make full use of and derive benefit from a resource, make use of a situation, or make use in a way considered unfair or underhand. Dit is Congo. Congo is a land, a nation meted out, trodden down. Yes, robbed by the rivers, robbed by the nations, spoiled by the nations, exploited by the nations. It's according to Isaiah 18 verse 2. All this started when the Europeans, starting with Portugal, right, the Portuguese, when the Portuguese came in contact with Congo, and our ancestors were giving them gold, and silver, diamonds, just as a gift for the King of Portugal. Yes, just as a gift, because that's who we are. We are hospitable. Yes, and we receive people in love. So they gave the King of Portugal those gifts. And as they were going back, they realized that there was a lot of wealth in Congo. See? And that's what tricked their mind. Because the Portuguese were coming to Africa not to make friends. Yes? Don't be fooled. They were coming to Africa to find resources for themselves and to expand their own kingdoms. That's the reason they were coming to Africa, not to make friends. They fooled the Mani Congo. They fooled the rulers of Congo. They fooled the Africans, the Bantus. We are coming in peace. But they had their own plans. Now, I will share some videos, just to give you an idea of what's going on. Why is the whole world? Now let me say like this. From all African nations, Congo is suffering the most. Why is that? Yes. From all nations, from all African nations, Congo is the most spoiled, robbed, exploited by the Europeans, by the West. Nowadays, the whole world, yes, not only the West, but the whole world, even the East, wants a piece of Congo. It all started with King Leopold. Let's start with King Leopold.
Of free trade for protectionism. The great powers of Europe turned to Africa as a means of balancing their trade deficits. At around the same time, developments in medicine overcame the tropical diseases that had previously closed off Central Africa. Armed with new antidotes, weapons, and insatiable hunger, European explorers rushed to claim the interior of the Congo for king and country. King Leopold II of Belgium, a constitutional monarch and a keen entrepreneur, sought to use the Congo's high natural occurrence of rubber to overturn the South American monopoly. In 1876, the Belgian king launched the International African Association, a rubber and ivory export business operating under the disguise of humanitarianism. At the Berlin Conference of 1885, Leopold was awarded the Congo on the condition that the resources be open to international exploitation. The entirety of the Congo, which was...
Do you hear that? International exploitation. The robbing of Congo.
25 times the size of Belgium, became a private possession of the Belgian king and was dubbed the Congo Free State. The territory, however, was anything but free. Leopold's ownership accelerated the process of organizing the trading outposts of the Congo into a corporate state with a private military. Initially formed with officers from the Belgian army, the Force Publique filled its ranks by recruiting African mercenaries as well as by abducting people from nearby villages or by purchasing slaves. The largest provider of slaves was the Sultanate of Zanzibar. Since the arrival of Arab slavers 3 centuries earlier, the Zanzibar Sultanate had expanded its influence throughout the Congo with a series of satellite states. At the time of the scramble for Africa, Zanzibar had established significant commercial interests in the eastern Congo. For the Free State, however, Zanzibar was a threat. It didn't take long for the rivalry to turn violent. In 1892, hostilities broke out between Leopold's mercenaries and the Zanzibari Arab slavers, with the former masking the conflict as a humanitarian endeavor to end the slave trade. 2 years into the fighting, the Congo-Arab War resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of Congolese and the permanent expulsion of Zanzibari influence from the contested area. Having secured its borders, the Free State was organized for maximum profit. Company officials created a central crown territory bordered by many...
For maximum profit. Remember that when King Leopold sent the missionaries to Congo, he told them, you are not going to the Congos. Yes, it was in 1885. He said to the missionaries, you are not going to Congo to teach the Negroes God, because they know him and they call him Zambi Mpungu. King Leopold was well informed about the Bantu, the Congo, the Bakongo, knowing the Most High. He told the missionaries, I am not sending you to Congo to teach those Negroes the knowledge of God, because they know him. And they call him Zambi Mpungu Tulendo. They know the laws. But I'm sending you there for our interest. Teach the Negroes, he said, not to love wealth, but teach them to love poverty, so that we can rob them, steal from them. You understand? And this mentality, this strategy is still today, alive and kicking, still today. Keep the Congolese poor so we can rob them. So our Congolese are praying, drinking, feasting. Keep them poor. Don't allow them to develop a mentality that they want to be on the top, that they want to have the riches, that they want to possess, the mining fields and whatever. Keep them poor, King Leopold said. And that's the mentality till today. Yes, that's the strategy till today. That's why the West, the world, does not allow Congo to get free from their grip. The day Congo is liberated, the world will lose, because Congo is actually the world's biggest reserve. Everything the world needs is in Congo. Yes, everything Congo liberated, yes, will dominate the technological fields. It will dominate, yes, the food industry. It will dominate music. It will dominate art. If freed. So the world says never. Congo must never be free. They must remain poor and miserable so that we can continue to rob them, to exploit the resources. Yes. That's what's going on. Okay.
The DR Congo is the second largest country in Africa and home to a deadly decades-long conflict which has killed millions and forced millions more to flee their homes. Attacks are nothing new, but they're seemingly becoming more frequent. These attacks are linked to a multitude of rebel groups with historic connections to DRC's neighboring countries, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. As a result, thousands of protesters in the DRC have been calling for the government to sever diplomatic relations with Rwanda, despite peace talks to ease ongoing diplomatic tensions. So, what's causing the crisis in the DRC? Well, the honest answer is, it's complicated. Mineral-rich eastern regions like Ituri, South and North Kivu, and Maniema produce global supplies of cobalt, the metal used in batteries which power our tech devices. The area also has deposits of titanium, copper, diamonds, and gold. For more than 30 years, this area has been at the center of proxy wars and violent exploitation. In early 2022, Belgian gold dealer Alan Goetz was sanctioned by the United States government for allegedly smuggling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold from the DRC. The US said the illicit movement of gold provides revenue to armed groups that threaten the peace, security, and stability of the DRC. Alan Goetz denied the allegations against him, but a battle for the nation's vast mineral wealth is not the only factor at play. Armed groups, which are in the hundreds, also play a role in the destabilization. Violence by armed groups is worsened by ethnic division.
You know, and the people behind the destabilization of Congo are those who are ruling the world. Okay? Because it's just a strategy. Destabilize the nation, create chaos, and you can rob. And you can rob the people. You know, you can rob the land. So those who are ruling the world, yes, they are the one who are playing this game, yes, of destabilizing nations. They have done it all over the globe. Yes, Syria, Libya, you know, Congo for centuries.
In a country with more than 200 tribes. Who is being impacted?
On vient seulement pour enquêter, mais lorsqu'ils vont payer les gens qui ont mort ici, qui vont les payer, qui vont nous aider?
It's often civilians who are impacted the most. In May of 2022,
You see, they don't care about the people. You see, people have been suffering in Congo for centuries. King Leopold killed 100 million innocent people. Yes, but the West doesn't care. They have written books about it. They make documentaries about it, but they don't care. Still, they are causing destabilization in Congo. Where are the guns coming from? Who is founding the rebels? Yes? Where is it coming from? Those who rule the world, the Kadian Pemba. Those who rule the world. Yes. They are on the top of it. How many people have to die, you know? How many innocent blood just because of the greed of the Western world and the corporations. Yes, the corporations.
Nearly 100 people were killed in a string of brutal attacks. Victims included young children. Later that month, officials found 70 decomposing bodies by a riverbed in Ituri, some having been decapitated. It's estimated that 6 million people have been killed in this ongoing conflict and many more have fled. Who are the key players? Countries in the Great Lakes have frequently traded accusations of plots to destabilize one another by using the many rebel groups operating in the region. The relationship between Rwanda and the DR Congo has especially got tense. The head of the African Union...
Yeah, so the West has been using Rwanda. Yeah? President Kagame. Ndoki. They have been using Uganda to destabilize Congo so that they can sneak in, get the minerals. Yes, copper and cobalt are right now the new rubber. King Leopold entered Congo. He took possession of Congo and he started killing, slaughtering, right? Eventually he killed more than 100 million people for rubber. For rubber. Today, the new rubber is copper cobalt. Cobalt. It's the new rubber. And thousands and millions Congolese are dying because of it. Yes, and the world is silent. So you look at Congo and you say, oh, Congo, you know, they are governed by stupid presidents, stupid politicians. Hey, don't you know that the West, yes, the West, they threatened every African president. Okay, they have all the president by the colonials. Yes, they have all the presidents under control. They are like the puppets of the West. You can resist, but who will stand with you? When you resist, they will pay one of your brothers a handsome of money to betray you, to kill you, to assassinate you. So as long as we don't unite and come together as a people, they will have the freedom to continue to do what they do.
Macky Sall has called on the two countries to pursue peace. What's being done about it? Persistent death and destruction has made Congolese nationals hostile towards intervention by their neighbors, making longer-term stability difficult. But some things are being done. In 2021, President Felix Tshisekedi imposed military rule in North Kivu and Ituri provinces, but that's done little to ease the unrest. Uganda and the DRC are currently on a joint military operation against the ADF rebel group. This is the largest foreign intervention in DRC by any organization other than the UN. Shortly after joining the East African Community in April 2022, President Tshisekedi asked for intervention from member states over DR Congo's security crisis. Kenya offered to host peace talks between rebels and Congolese officials. Attempts to get rebel groups to join ceasefire talks have faced setbacks. Mistrust among some of the regional leaders hasn't helped matters either. At a meeting in Kenya in June, there was some disagreement about deploying a joint regional force. So it's fair to say that most people, if not everybody, wants to see an end to this conflict. But with tensions so deeply embedded into the DNA of the country, it's difficult to predict when a resolution to DRC's problems will come.
Yes, when will it come? Right? When will it come? Okay, now let's look at this brother first.
This one, you know, somebody sent me this video clip and my mind was just blown. Okay, this is about the truckload of one of the truckload of failings in Africa and how Africa has been kept on its knees. So during a recent U.S.
That's
African
right.
summit, okay, Zambia and Congo signed a memorandum indicating a total surrender of the supply chain and production of copper and cobalt to American control. A total
Copper and cobalt. To who? America's control. Right? Big Babylon. To America's control.
surrender. Okay, watch this video before
let's
making
watch.
further comments.
Sign or witness the signing of a memorandum of understanding in which the U.S. will support the DRC and Zambia in developing an electric vehicle value chain. I really want to commend the DRC and Zambia, their governments, for their leadership and vision in developing an electric vehicle battery council. This is the future.
He's talking about developing electrical vehicles. Now, what will it benefit the Congolese? Right? Electrical vehicles. What will it benefit? Can we drive electrical vehicles in Congo? There are not even roads. What will it benefit Congo? No, it benefits the United States of Kadi and Pemba, America. Yes, it benefits them, not Congo.
It is happening in the DRC and Zambia.
Look at the president, right? Look at the president standing there, Yiseka'yah. Look at him standing there. My goodness. Is it him? Is it him? It looks like him. I don't know.
Zambia is the world's sixth largest copper producer.
Maybe not.
Second largest cobalt producer in Africa. Global demand for critical minerals is going to skyrocket over the next decades. Plan to develop an electric battery supply chain opens the door for U.S. and like-minded investment to keep more value added in Africa. Electric vehicles help reduce carbon emissions. They support the global response to the climate crisis. This memorandum of understanding that we're about to sign signals the support by the U.S. government for what is a very important project between the two countries. Different government agencies, USAID, Commerce, the Trade and Development Agency, are exploring technical assistance for the EV supply chain. Our Exim Bank, the Development Finance Corporation, is exploring financing and support mechanisms for investment in African electric vehicle value chains.
So just so you understand, I've got my notes here. DRC, that's Congo, right?
Oh my
supplies
goodness.
70% of the world's cobalt. Just Congo, right? Alone, 70%. That's huge. Now, some of you already know this, and I've been saying this for time. The entire part of the world, the other parts of the world need Africa to survive. Africa doesn't need it.
Yes. We Africans, yes, we Bena Congo, we don't need the world. The world depends on us. You understand? Now, I asked you all a question, right, earlier. What was my question? I asked the question. From all the African nations, why is Congo the only nation suffering so much, right? It's like there's no development in Congo. There's no progress in Congo. It's only poverty, war, rebels, destabilization, situation to situation. With Rwanda coming in, killing a lot of people in the east of Congo, stealing the diamonds, the cobalt, selling it to Uganda, the Chinese coming in, taking it, yes, and then selling it to the United States of America so that they can make what? The iPhones, the laptops, the electric cars, etc. Through the suffering of the Congolese, because Congo produces more than 70% of the world's cobalt. Yes. More than 70%. And that's the reason they want Congo to remain undeveloped, right? They want Congo to remain like it is, so that they can continue the agenda of robbing and exploiting the Congo. Now, why is this all happening? Yes, why is this happening to the Congo? The land shall be utterly emptied. Yes, the land talking about the earth. The earth, the land of Congo. This is Isaiah 24, verse 3. Yes, Isaiah 24, verse 3 says, the land shall be utterly empty, meaning to say that they will take everything out of the ground, all the resources, yes, the diamonds, the oil, the cobalt, the copper, everything they need to sustain the economy, to sustain the way of life, to build their technologies, all comes from Africa, all comes from the Congo, right? 70% of it, as we're talking about cobalt. They will empty the land and utterly spoil it. Isaiah 24, verse 3. And this is what we're seeing happening with the Congo. With the Congo. Now, people, remember, if the Tanzania blesses you, yeah? When the Most High blesses you, when the Most High says, I will give you a land full of riches, right? That's the blessing, right? That's the blessing. Now, everyone will be jealous, right? They will have this jealous feeling. They will envy you. So they want to rob you. They want to steal from you. That's what's happening with the Congo. They stole, first of all, our identity. So we have identity usurpers who are pretending to be the Bena Congo, who are pretending to be the ancient Israelites of the book, to be the blessed people. And then they come to the land, cause destabilization, starting with colonization, slavery, right? Slavery, colonization, right? And then the dividing Africa, according to the Berlin Congo Conference, dividing Congo, King Leopold taking possession of Congo as his own property, killing more than 100 million Congolese, cutting the hands off, the noses, the breasts, the feet, right? Just for sport, because he's a Kadiampemba. And stealing rubber, taking rubber from the land for the tires, for the bicycles and the cars, right? Now the new rubber is what? Cobalt. Yes, the new rubber of today is cobalt. So once again, Congo is being robbed, exploited by the West and by the world.
It was only a dozen years ago that the American auto industry stood on the brink of collapse during the great financial crisis, something President Obama said he could not let happen.
We cannot and must not, and we will not, let our auto industry simply vanish.
And so the industry went through a painful restructuring to emerge smaller, more efficient, and more profitable. And no sooner did it get through all that than it has to reinvent itself all over again as the nation and the world move to electric vehicles.
A future of the automobile industry that is electric. Battery electric, plug-in hybrid electric, fuel cell electric. It's electric, and there's no turning back.
Is the industry up to this new challenge? And if it is, will it be the traditional car companies who lead the way? Or will they have to make room for the pure play electric vehicle makers like Tesla and Rivian? Dan Ives of Wedbush says President Biden is creating a huge new market.
This is the start of what I believe is a $5 trillion market, with definitely Biden kicking off the green tidal wave in the U.S. which is underperformed when we look compared to China and Europe.
And Ives says GM is well positioned, that as GM proves out its EV vision over the coming years, the stock will be re-rated more as a disruptive technology and EV play rather than its traditional auto valuation. Kathy Wood of ARK Investments, on the other hand, says the traditional automakers are just too far behind to catch up.
The traditional auto manufacturers, if you look at their R&D budgets, or you look at GM's, 10% of its R&D, $25 billion in capital spending, is allocated to electric. They should be at almost 100 now, given what's about to happen. They have just gotten started, and what they have delivered are cars that don't even meet, whether it's range or other metrics, the Model S circa 2012.
But in the end, it may not be just electric cars that decide who wins and loses. It may be a cluster of different tech innovations that come with those EVs, or so says Adam Jonas of Morgan Stanley.
Ford is showing a bit of urgency too. It's better late than never. Yeah. But General Motors is our pick under the leadership of Mary Barra, who's executing a phenomenal turnaround here with real action. This company is starting to present itself as a viable, let's say, pre-SPAC ETF of 2.0 unicorns.
So, could it be that the United States of America wants to be on the top, right? Going to Congo and Zambia, telling them to sign this contract where they actually are selling the rights of to mine their own resources to the United States of America. That contract will not benefit them at all, right? Because America will mine the resources, will get the cobalt. It will enable them to build and produce more electric cars and to sell it around the world, right? Where's the benefit for Congo in all this? What will Congo get out of it? Yes. So what kind of exchange is this? This is purely the robbing and exploiting of Congo resources and the Congo people. That's it. So you can say, and you can have this opinion that the African president, in this case, president of DRC, president of Zambia, are weak. Right? You can say, oh, weak presidents, man, weak. But what you don't know how America threatens the African presidents. Okay, America has been killing black leaders for centuries. If they disrupt their agendas, you will be killed. Yeah. So an African president, when they decide to stand up against the West, they must first decide if they are willing to die for the nation or not. Okay? So I actually think that every president must ask himself, when he comes into office, am I willing to die for my people? Am I willing to die for the nation? If you're not, you shouldn't be president. All right, come on. What do you all say? What do you all say? Because a person who has determined already that he is a dead man has no fear. You can stand up to the enemy, and say, no, we won't have it all. We will not have it all, without fear. But if you are under their control, and you are afraid of dying, you don't want to lose your life, you will just do whatever they want. You understand? So, African presidents, they must evolve. They must enter into the realm of spiritual warfare. Yes, enter into the realm of spiritual warfare and understand things from that perspective. You cannot rule the world unless you rule it spiritually first. You take it in the spiritual realm first. And that's why all Western presidents are members of secret societies and sects. Yes, every ruler in this world is a member of secret societies and sects. Because you cannot rule this world unless you have a spiritual power. You understand? That's why they serve all kinds of demons. And they perform all kinds of demonic rituals in secret. Now, everything's about the cobalt, because electric cars are the future. Yes, electric cars are the future. So whoever has control of Congo will win. He will produce, he will have control of the market. So United States of America has played it very well. They went to Congo, they forced the presidents to sign the deal, to sign the contract. I really don't believe that, Yiseka'yah and the president of Zambia, that they just said, okay, Spike, let's sign this contract. It's the best deal ever. No. But we know how the United States works, They put pressure on people. They threaten people. The United States of America is one of the greatest gangsters, together with the Kadiampemba Ishi people. They are the gangsters in this world, bullying the whole world. And they have Africa, especially Congo, on its knees. Yes. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I heard, King Bugame, I heard him say, someone asked him a question, why are Africans suffering so much in the world? And King Bugame answered and he said, we are under punishment. We are under punishment of God. But why? Why are we under punishment? Because we sinned. We abandoned our own power, our own glory. Yes, our king gave their heads to be baptized by the Kadiampemba, and by doing so, they turned their backs to our God, to our angels, and to our holy ancestors. Yes, they turned their backs, and when they turned their backs, Zambi said, oh, okay, you're gonna do me like that? The angel of Congo, Malekima Congo, turned his back. The holy ancestors turned their back, and they surrendered us over to the mercies of the heathens of the Ngoi. And look what they have done to us. Yes, and look what they have done to the Muhindu, to the Mwana Congo, Mwana Bantu. Look what they have done. And they have no shame. They continue to do what they've always done. Yes. And when you talk with some of them and you address the history of the ancestors, they will say, but it's not me. I haven't done it to you, but you are still enjoying all the profit today. And you as a people are still robbing the Congo even today, exploiting the Congo even today. See, so nothing has changed. The legacy of King Leopold lives on. They are still doing the same thing.
There's been a lot of buzz about cobalt lately, but why is this once little-known element so popular? Cobalt may be best known for the pigment called cobalt blue it has long been used to make. But another application has driven up demand for the metal in recent years. Lithium-ion batteries found in everything from smartphones to electric cars. Average annual cobalt prices more than doubled in 2017 due to strong consumer demand, limited supply, and increased purchases from investors, according to the United States Geological Survey. Some companies particularly dependent on the metal are taking steps to secure their supplies, which could be constrained in the future. In the meantime, many investors are concerned that increased production of lithium-ion batteries for devices such as electronics and electric cars will lead to cobalt shortages. Just look at Apple, which is reportedly looking to buy cobalt directly from miners to shield itself from any possible shortages. Automakers such as BMW and Volkswagen have reportedly been looking for ways to secure their future cobalt supplies as well. Some of this can be traced to how hard it is to actually get cobalt. One of the factors potentially constraining supply is the fact that most cobalt is mined as a byproduct of copper or nickel. That means that it is somewhat dependent on the health of the markets for those metals. If miners aren't pulling nickel or copper out of the ground, they aren't pulling out cobalt either. The Democratic Republic of Congo is the world's leading source of mined cobalt, USGS said. The African...
You see? Yes? That's why Congo is suffering more than any other African nation, right? More. United States just got a big piece as they have signed allegedly this contract for the rights of mining the Congo minerals, especially cobalt and copper. Yes, cobalt and copper. And Congo produces more than 70% of the cobalt in the world, followed by Russia, Australia, and China. Yes, Congo, more than 70%. And the United States of America just allegedly signed this deal with Congo and Zambia for the mining rights of cobalt and copper. That makes America, that gives America a big authority in the market, right? They will become a big authority in the market, producing electric cars, yes, and selling that cobalt to other nations with a large amount of profit. But what will Congo gain from it? Yes. What will Congo benefit from it? What? As people are suffering every day because of this. Yes. People in Congo, especially in Katanga and the east of Congo where the mines are, they are suffering every day because of this. What is the United States doing about it? Nothing. They just want the cobalt. What is the world doing about it? What is the United Nations doing about it? The UN? Nothing. They just want the minerals. They just want the cobalt. They don't care about those thousands of people who die every month. You know? Thousands upon thousands every year. They don't care. They just want the cobalt. And it's the fate of Congo. The most blessed nation is the most suffered. Is suffering the most from many other nations in the world. Congo is suffering till today just because they are blessed with resources, just because they are blessed sitting on a land full of riches. So it seems like the blessing is working as a curse for the people. Yeah? Because everyone is coming. The destabilization is the strategy. Yes. Keep Congo in impoverished state. Keep Congo in this chaotic state. Give funding to rebels from Uganda. Who is that president? Kagame. You know, they are paying Kagame. I think it was Britain. Britain paid Kagame a few millions of pounds. Yeah? Millions of pounds. Why? Yeah? Why? It's crazy, eh? But it is all prophetic.
Country mines more than half of the world's supply.
No, more than 70%.
There are some so-called artisanal or subsistence miners in the Congo as well. Much of this type of mining is unregulated, and organizations such as Amnesty International have...
Look at this, you see? Young children, right? Going to the mines to work. This is the state. People who works in those mines in Congo. Who is buying the mines? Oh, sorry, who's buying the cobalt from them? Right? If the nations truly care, they will say, no, we will not buy any cobalt or copper coming from mines as this, where young children are working, where people are dying, suffering. If the world truly cares. But they don't care. They don't care. They get it for cheap, right? And they produce all the electronic devices people love. The mobile phones, the laptops. Yes. Even the laptop of the mobile phone you're watching me right now is created from cobalt coming from Congo.
Of child labor, poor safety, health effects, and environmental problems in these mines. This may be part of Apple's motivation, as companies have been
Did you look at
problems
this?
in these mines.
Did you saw the children? Look at these children, right? They're supposed to be at school, not at a minefield. No, working for cobalt, so that it can be sold to the European markets, the Western markets. Look at this, beautiful children. It could be, maybe, it could be one of your children. Just imagine your little son or your little daughter in the dirt, right? Just looking in the dirt, searching the dirt for cobalt to sell to the Western world so that they can produce electric cars. And it's the deal. This is the thing that is killing Congo. And that the West is continually, maintaining. Because they don't want Congo to develop. So, Congolais, Boyoka, Bandeko. We cannot depend on the European nations, the West, America, China, Russia, to liberate us. Yes. We cannot wait for them to have pity on us, to say, oh, you know what? We're gonna help you. They will not help you. Everything they do is for their own benefits. Okay? It's for their own gains. If the United States of America wanted to help Congo, they have done it long time ago. If the world really wanted to help Congo, they have done it long time ago. It's not their objective. They just want to have hands-on the resources. They don't care at river or a damn about your children, yes, your fathers and mothers and aunts, uncles, they don't care. Shall we continue?
Of Apple's motivation, as companies have been criticized for failing to make these conditions a priority. Meantime, mining is just one part of the supply chain game. China is the largest refiner of cobalt and the largest supplier to the United States.
You see, you see what's happening. So China comes in, takes the cobalt, yes, refines it, and then sells it to the United States of America. Now, with this new deal, the United States of America has allegedly signed with DRC and Zambia, they will cut off China and they will go themselves directly to Congo to take everything they need. Yes, they go to Congo, they take what they need. And they don't have to deal with China. Yes. That's the purpose of this deal, this wicked deal. You understand? Because they will not allow China to become the big man. So they have to cut China off. So they went to Congo. They spoke with the president, Yiseka'yah. They spoke to the Zambian president. And they told them, hey, listen up. You will give us this deal. You will give us the rights to mine your resources. Yes. And United States of America is a big bully. They are the destroyers. They are the one who cause war everywhere in the world. It's the United States of America. They cause war everywhere in the world. They are the ones going around killing people everywhere in the world. They are the one who destabilize nations. They infiltrate nations' governments, destabilize them, cause civil wars, destroy nations. It's the United States of America. Okay? Babylon. It's strange. It's strange. But it's the truth. It's the truth. When you are in Christianity, everyone who is a Christian loves America, right? Because you are in that delusion. America is a lie. Yes. America is a lie. You need to wake up and see them for who they are.
It's also the world's biggest consumer of cobalt. About 80% of China's cobalt goes to rechargeable batteries. Growth in world refined cobalt demand is expected to outstrip supply, driven mainly by strong growth in the rechargeable battery and aerospace industries, USGS said. Either way, based on the appetite for technology today, it doesn't seem like demand will slow down anytime soon.
So demand will not slow down. Why? Because electric cars, electric vehicles are the future. You understand? Electric vehicles are the future. So, United States of America knows very well, without the largest, let me say this like this. When you have possession, yes, of the only nation that produces 70% of the cobalt of the world, when you have possession of that land, when you have the rights to mine those resources, you'll be at the top, right? You'll be at the top in the technological advancement, and also in the produce of electric cars, and in selling the cobalt, refined cobalt, to other nations. Yes. It seems like they want to revive the economy by taking possession of the mining rights of Congo cobalt. Hallelujah. Right? Now, let me read some verses here before we continue. Is Israel a servant? Just Jeremiah 2 verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Why is he robbed? Why is Congo exploited? Because we have the treasures of the world. Yes, you see? We have all the treasures. That's why we're spoiled, robbed. Now, why are people robbing us? You know, a thief, in the Bible, we are told that when a thief comes in, before he can rob and spoil the house, he has to bind the strong man first, right? So he enters, he attacks the strong man first. He binds him. And then he can rob everything which he possessed. Everything in the house. He can rob him from everything. He can take your children, he can take your wife, he can take all your properties, because the strong man has been bound. Now, religion from the Latin religare means to bind or to rebind. Yes, religare in the Latin means to rebind. When the Portuguese came in, they wanted to rebind the Congo. We were already bound, right? We were bound to Tatanzambe and Pongotulendo. Yes, and to the laws and traditions of our ancestors. We were already bound. But they came and told us, you need to be rebound. Receive our religion. Become like us. Let us put our spirit upon you. Right? So they rebound the strong men first. Who are the strong men? Our kings. Our kings. It was our kings and noblemen, our leaders, who they rebound first through their religion, religare in Latin. So when they bound the strong man, the kings, that was the moment that the door was opened for them, right? So that they can slowly begin to rob and steal, exploit our people and our lands. And because we, the strong men, our strong men, remained bound till this day, they can continue to rob, to exploit our people and our lands. We must come to a time that the strong men, our leaders, will say, enough, enough. We will have it no more. I will not have it all. Until they will have the courage to say that. They stand up and say, I don't care if you kill me. Yes, I don't care if you murdered my whole family. We will not stand for this any longer. Yes, but not only one leader, but every leader must have this disposition. Every leader. Then it doesn't matter how many they kill, because every leader will have the same disposition. So you will kill 2, 3, 4, 5. But if they are not changing their disposition, if they all of them have this resolution, right? How many will they kill? Do you understand? But no one is willing to die for his nation. That's why all the African leaders, okay, not all, most African leaders are in the pockets of the European. They are just puppets. They don't have real power. Willpower equals change. If you have real power, you will make sure that you bring change into your country, development in your nation, right? Progress, wealth. You understand? That's real power. So as long as we don't see such things, we can conclude that African presidents have no power. Because when you have power, you will bring development, you will bring, advancement, you will bring change, you will bring wealth to your people, for your nation. So we are not in power. Our presidents are not in power. Let me see. Judgment will come, because for how long can the thief continue to steal and plunder, right? At a certain point, you will reap what you sow. That's a universal law. You will reap what you sow eventually. Yes, the thief will get caught. Eventually, you will get caught, and you will reap what you sow. And when a thief is caught, you cannot say, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." No, you have to return everything you have stolen sevenfold. Yes, sevenfold. And undergo judgment. So first you have to restore everything sevenfold, and afterwards the judgment, execution of judgment. That's the law. So no European nation that has oppressed, killed, murdered, exploited the people and the nation can just say, "We're sorry. We're sorry that we enslaved you. My apologies. We're sorry that we murdered your people. My apology." That won't cut it. Not according to the universal laws. What you reap, you will sow. And what you have done to another shall be done unto you. You understand? It's crazy, eh?
Is your smartphone linked to this?
Yes, it is. Your smartphone is linked to this. Your electric car is linked to this. Your laptop is linked to this. Your smart TV is linked to this. Everything, 99% of all your electronic devices is linked to this. What is this? Congo. Yes. More than 70% of the cobalt in the world comes from Congo.
There's a good chance this is where your favorite tech gadget begins. In the cobalt mines of the Congo. Cobalt is a key component in rechargeable lithium batteries. So it's needed to manufacture things like smartphones, laptops, and electric cars. But human rights groups say often those miners are children and the working conditions can be deadly. Often the miners have to dig by hand, deep inside tunnels without any safety equipment.
They tunnel straight down and 50 meters sometimes into the shale. We heard stories of up to 65 people in one incident, including adults and children, were buried alive and they didn't even find their bodies yet.
There are no official statistics on fatalities, but miners have told human rights groups that they risk injury or death whenever they work in unregulated mines. Now Congolese families want to hold Apple, Google, Dell, Tesla and Microsoft accountable. The US...
You see, all what? American companies, right? These are all American companies. Apple, Google, Dell, Tesla, and Microsoft. All American companies. See? So who is the biggest demon in all of this? United States of America. Yes. United States of America. This guy just told us, right? They are the biggest dealers in cobalt.
Microsoft accountable. A US-based human rights nonprofit is suing the tech giants on behalf of 14 families. It's the first time the tech industry has faced legal action over the mining of cobalt.
And that my 14 clients are either children who have been maimed or the parents of children who have been killed in mining accidents, which are very routine. There's a boy with an amputated leg. There's several boys with smashed legs. They'll never work again in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they need medical attention.
According to...
Look at this, people, right? Look at this. You see how Europe, the West, especially the United States of America, are exploiting the people, robbing the people. Of course, we do not give China a free pass, you know. China is also there, you know. Europe is there. All of them are there. All of them supporting this because they need the cobalt, right? They don't care about humane, you know, they don't care about, you know, the wealth of the health of the people. They don't care about the situations where they're in. They just want the cobalt. It's a sad thing, you know, it's a sad thing. Who will liberate the Congo people? Who will fight for change? Who will stand up and say enough is enough? What African leader, what president of the Congo will be able to liberate the Congolese, the Bantu of Congo, from this suffering? Who is that man or woman who will have the power to cause change for the people? Just imagine if the people of Congo will take control of their own fate, right? and develop everything they need. Not only change the way people mine cobalt, making it illegal for children to work at any mine field, but when they regulate the mining fields and take control of it, and start selling the cobalt, refining the cobalt and selling it at a high price to the other nations, to China, to Europe, to the United States, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen with Congo? Congo will be the richest nation on the planet if they start doing that. Yes, if they take control of their own fate, control of their own minds, and they regulate everything, right? They organize themselves. They will be the richest and most powerful nation on the planet. They will dictate the world. That's why United States of America says, That's why the Western world says, you must remain poor, you must remain miserable, you must remain in the state that you are right now. We don't want you to develop. We don't want you, right, to progress. Because the development and the progression of Congo will mean the end of the West. Do you understand, people? Do you understand this? It's a fact. It's a fact. The development of Congo and the progress of Congo, Congo taking control of their own land, organizing themselves, coming together, right? It's the end of the West. The West will lose big time. Yeah. Shall we continue?
Documents, families claim that children were paid as little as $2 a day, and tech companies are alleged to have been aware of the child labor.
So tech companies are aware. How can they not know? This is all over the internet, right? You can go on YouTube and type in, the mines of Congo, and you will see these images. So how are tech companies not aware? Of course they are. They don't care.
Here's how some companies have responded. Part of the problem, according to experts, is that it's nearly impossible for tech giants to be sure the cobalt they're buying doesn't come from child labor.
At the end of the day, even if children are not working in the mines controlled by big companies, their productions end up in the supply chain, in the global supply chain of minerals going out from DRC. Currently, what I can say is that it's very difficult to have 100% green cobalt coming out from DRC, where we have zero or child labor.
I went there for about 2 weeks and I managed to interview children, see children, that they're everywhere. So it's just unbelievable for them to say that they're not aware or that they have fixed this problem.
Estimates vary, but thousands of child miners are believed to be working in Congo's cobalt mines.
We are finishing a study in Kolwezi and Wakatanga, and our estimate is about 30,000 children of age under 15 years.
30,000 children under 15 years old. Now just imagine that this could be, if this was one of your own children or one of your own child. It's crazy, right? And they are getting paid $2. Just $2. People, this is insane. And the world will never do anything to change it. Why? Because they just want the cheap cobalt. China gets the cobalt. China refines the cobalt and sells it to the United States of America. At this point now, the United States of America said, no, we will cut China off So they went directly to Congo, DRC, involved Zambia in it, and said, you guys will give us the rights to mine your minerals. We want the cobalt and the copper. Yes, and they have signed allegedly this deal that will give the United States the rights to mine all those minerals. So the United States will become the big man, right? Having possession of the mines which produce 70% of the world's cobalt. More than 70% of the world's cobalt. So who is the big bad wolf here? It's the United States of America. Shout out to Fasting is Life. Matondo for your contribution. Matondo for your support. Kembo, Tatanzamba bless you.
Who are now working in the mine.
One study places some of the blame on Congo's rampant corruption.
There's no government regulation. The government is extremely corrupt. Often the government has been paid off to look the other way, but no one had ever heard of something called...
Okay, why is the government corrupted? Yes? Do you think that a true Congolese is happy to see his country in a state like this? No. They're getting paid to look the other way. Okay? They're getting paid. It's like, receive the money or the bullet. Which one do you want? Do you want the money or do you want the bullet? Do you understand? There's no like really free choice. And people are also very, people are suffering. Yeah? And when you are in that state of suffering already and someone gives you money, gives you a choice, receive the money or the bullet, of course you will take the money, right? You don't want to die. So you take the money and you look the other way, but that doesn't mean that you don't care. Of course they do, but they don't have any power to cause any change. And that's the problem. We don't have the power to cause any change. When will Congo change, people? When will it change?
A mine inspector. So we need people on site inspecting the mines. We need safety regulations, and then there has to be a severe consequence for violating these rules.
Actionable change on this issue will take time. The lawsuit filed by international rights advocates still has no set trial date, while global demand for cobalt continues to rise.
My goodness. Ugh. It is so sad, The people, loved and blessed. I will give you a land of milk and honey, a land full of riches, a land that drinks up the rains of heaven. A big and huge land. Dit is the land of Congo. Dit is the land of the Bantu. But this rich land has become like a curse for us, right? Because we lost our power. We lost the power to govern ourselves and the power to take control of our own destiny. Someone else is dictating what we should do. People are working continuously on the destabilization of Congo. They do not allow Congo to develop. Congo must stay as it is so that they can continue to rob and spoil the land and the people for their own enrichment. It is where we are. Hallelujah. Destruction upon destruction is cried, for the whole land is spoiled. Suddenly are my tents spoiled, and my curtains in a moment. Destruction upon destruction, and the whole land is spoiled. Jeremiah 4 verse 20. This is Congo. Destruction upon destruction. The whole land cries. The whole land is spoiled, robbed, exploited. This is Congo. Now, people, thank you for being here. Matondo, for watching. Hallelujah. Nzambi abenisa. We are living in difficult times. Difficult times. A lot is going on. Spiritually, politically, economically. We are living in a season where a lot of shiftings taking place in all aspects of life, governments, world, religions, politics, economics. A lot is going on. Now Congo produces the largest amount of the cobalt in the world. Hallelujah. And the world is changing, right? Changing how? The world is moving to electrical vehicles, for example. Everything will go electrical. That's their vision for the future, right? Electrical cars, electrical bikes, electrical motorcycles. The global market for electric vehicles is growing continually at a compound annualized growth rate of 21.7%. It is expected to grow from 8.1 million units to 39.21 million units by 2030. This exponential growth is being driven by various factors, including concerns for pollution. Now, who is the biggest polluter? Do you say it like that? It's the West, right? It's the West. All pollutions, majority of the pollutions has come from the West, not from Africans. So their solution now to solve the pollution situation is to go electrical. That means the continuation of robbing and exploiting the Congo. And it's a problem the Congo has been facing for many, many years. So continue to pray for the restoration, the liberation, the salvation of Congo. Because we know that this Congo that was once the greatest kingdom in Central Africa, one of the greatest admired kingdom, is fallen. And only a divine intervention can turn the fate of the Congo. So continue to pray for the deliverance, the salvation of Congo. I'm Nabi Kefas. Matondo for watching. Matondo for being here. And may Tatanzamba bless you. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. Right? Share if you want to. And go to my Patreon page. Check out my Patreon page, what I have over there. become a Patreon member and support the ministry, support the work. Hallelujah. So may Tatanzambe bless you all. Good evening, good day, mbote. See you later. Ingeta.